Hello. We would like to welcome our special guest today, Paul Ryan, the Republican vice presidential candidate.
Thank you for inviting me. I am pleased to be the fiscal conservative on the ticket.
Let's get right down to it. Is it true that your budget would cut revenues by $4.5 trillion from the budget baseline over the next 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. And how much would your budget cut spending?
By $3.6 trillion over 10 years.
Wait. So you propose cutting taxes by $4.5 trillion and cutting spending by $3.6 trillion?
Yes.
If your tax cuts are bigger than your spending cuts, wouldn't that increase the debt?
Yes.
By how much?
About $900 billion over the next 10 years.
But I thought you said you were a fiscal conservative.
Correct.
But it looks like you are only cutting spending as a partial offset to tax cuts. Isn't a fiscal conservative someone who believes in balancing the budget?
You are using the old definition of fiscal conservative. Under the new definition, a fiscal conservative is simply someone who favors spending cuts.
Even if you were increasing the debt?
Yes.
Let's compare. If the President and Congress did absolutely nothing for the next 10 years to fix the budget, the debt would increase by $2.2 trillion according to the Congressional Budget Office. And under your budget, how much would debt increase?
By $3.1 trillion over 10 years. You can look it up. When we passed the budget in the House, the Budget Committee put out a report with all the numbers. On page 12 of our House Report 112-421, it shows how debt will increase by $3.1 trillion. This is $900 billion more than debt would increase if Congress passed no new laws for 10 years.
And that is what it means to be a fiscal conservative?
Yes. Cutting spending is all that matters. And also, of course, really big cuts in taxes.
I am having trouble understanding your claim to be a fiscal conservative.
Let me explain it to you this way. I am good with numbers. I always have been. Maybe you can understand percentages better. I take a budget that is already running deficits, cut spending by 8%, and then cut taxes by even more, by 11%. Does that make more sense to you?
No. It does not make more sense. Why has no one in the media reported on these numbers?
The media are very busy. They are not going to look at my budget numbers and compare them to baseline numbers. Also, they have to listen to a lot of speeches to see if any candidates make verbal miscues. And there have been a lot of verbal miscues in the 2012 campaign.
But wouldn't it be more important for the media to report on these budget numbers?
As a fiscal conservative, I would say no. Everyone knows that it is more important to the American people to elect a president who makes fewer verbal miscues than it is to elect someone who is good at numbers.
Now, Mr. Ryan, your budget includes the same caps on Medicare reimbursements that are included in the Obamacare bill, correct?
Yes. That is right. Those Medicare cuts are part of my budget.
But you and Governor Romney are running ads on TV that say you will eliminate these caps and increase Medicare reimbursements. Isn't this a contradiction?
No. I have changed my mind on this issue. Still, as Governor Romney has said, his budget plan and mine are virtually identical.
If you increase this Medicare spending, doesn't that take away about 20% of your net spending cuts?
Yes. But we care about Medicare. We are new Republicans. Our deep cuts to Medicare do not kick in for 10 years.
So your proposed spending cuts will now be about 20% less than in your earlier budget?
Yes.
And you would still keep $4.5 trillion in tax cuts?
Yes.
So for every $3 in new tax cuts, you would cut spending by a little less than $2?
Yes.
With your Medicare change, how much would this Romney Ryan budget raise the debt compared to the baseline?
My first budget increases the debt by a mere $900 billion. But Governor Romney and I now propose increasing the debt by $1.6 trillion. Yes, that is trillion, with a T.
What are some of the tax proposals that are included in your budget?
We need to lower the tax rate for the highest incomes by 20%. We need to set the tax rate at 0 for capital gains. We need to eliminate the alternative minimum tax. We need to lower the corporate tax rate to no more than 25%.
Those are fairly specific tax cut proposals.
Yes, we must do this. We can afford to lower these rates because we will eliminate wasteful tax loopholes and deductions.
Do you have any specific examples of tax loopholes or deductions that you would eliminate?
No. I will work closely with Governor Romney to identify these loopholes and eliminate them. I will not allow myself to be backed into a corner as part of some cynical liberal guessing game.
Is it true that under your budget, Governor Romney would go from having to pay about 13% of his income in federal taxes to instead paying less than 1% of his income in federal taxes?
Yes. But he gives a lot to charity.
Would he still get to deduct his contributions to charity?
Yes.
Is it fair for him to pay so little in taxes?
Yes. He is a job creator. Everyone knows that wealthy people are the job creators. The income earned by job creators is more valuable than the income earned by regular people, and therefore he should pay less in taxes. As I said at the convention, we'll put government back on the side of men and women who create jobs. The purpose of government is to serve job creators.
Do you think the big tax cut Governor Romney would get under your plan is one of the reasons he picked you as his running mate?
Yes. Definitely. Also, as you may have seen, he is a little bit stiff on the stump. I think they figured if I came along and added some talk about budget numbers, it would loosen things up a bit.
Since you are cutting taxes more than you are cutting spending, will your budget ever balance?
Most Americans will be pleased to know that my answer is yes. Assuming economic growth rates of at least 4% per year, my budget will balance sometime after the year 2030, or maybe 2040 at the latest.
Do you think the American people will buy this budget approach?
I am so proud of my budget. Just let me tell you what I did. I am the one who actually put a budget on paper. Not many members of Congress can do that. I think I was one of about 3. I built that budget. Yes, I built that budget. All by myself. If that doesn't convince you that I am a serious thinker, I don't know what will.
How do you assess your chances for winning the election in the fall?
We have been telling everyone how great the economy was in the 1950s and 1960s. We are uniting the country, because everyone agrees that the economy was great in the 1950s and 1960s. If we can convince the American people that our tax cut ideas will take us back to the economy of the 1950s and 1960s, then we will win.
What if the American people are looking for someone with solutions for competing in the global economy where we exist today?
Then we will probably lose.
And what if the American people focus on the actual numbers in your budget proposal?
You mean if the media actually look at the budget numbers? Ha ha ha. That's a good one.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ryan, for your time. This has certainly been informative. Best of luck to you in the weeks ahead as you try to avoid verbal miscues. I know the media will be looking for them.